arrived in South Africa. Basically, people will find it very strange, but I'd never used a computer. I didn't know anything about computers. And I developed some very bad habits. For example, until midnight, I will still have my bottle of Coca-Cola with some biscuits and some cakes and stuff like that. And because of that, I'm starting to suffer from high blood pressure. Basically, what will happen is that all the fecal matter, all the toxins will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream. And that's why people will start suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, arthritis, and all the autoimmune diseases where the body destroys itself.
Hey, Olivier, how are you doing today?
Yes, I'm fine, thank you. And
Great. Thanks for coming on the show. So how you been?
yes, I'm doing very good, and I'm really, really delighted to be on your show.
Awesome. So tell us about yourself.
I'm a speaker, author, a weight loss and wellness coach. And before 2016, I was working as an optical lab manager. And when I changed my way of eating, my lifestyle, my life was profoundly changed. And because of that, I decided to share my message and to try to help my brothers and sisters. And that's basically in a nutshell what I'm doing now.
Okay. So let's start from the beginning. Were you originally from England area, the UK? Where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from Africa, from the Democratic Republic of Congo. So I came in the UK 24 years ago.
Okay. Did your parents move there to for job work, or what was the rationale for going to the UK from the Congo?
No, it's only me. Basically, what's happened is that when I was young, I wanted to become a pilot, and that's idea that for the longest part of my life, and that's why I trained back home as a air traffic controller.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finished my study, because like I said, I wanted to become a pilot, and over there, it's you can only do your private pilot license, but your commercial pilot license to become an airline pilot, it's not possible to do that. That's why my plan was to come in the UK, work as a air traffic controller, and then save up some money and do my pilot training. But unfortunately, when I arrived here, my certificate, my diploma, or my qualification were not recognized. And because of that, it was not possible for me to do that anymore. So my dream went just like that. So that was the reason why I came to the UK.
How old were you at that time?
I was 29.
29. Okay. Were you married? Did you have family at that point? Or were you just a bachelor that was like, hey, this is my dream. I'm just going to come to the UK and do it here?
No, I was already married because I got married when I was 26 and I had already a kid.
Okay. Did your family come join you eventually in the UK, or was it kind of, did they stay in the Congo for a while? What happened?
No. My wife and my son, they joined me in, I think a year and a half. No, 2 years after, 2.5 years after I came here.
Okay. So, what did you do work-wise when you found out like this pilot opportunity just wasn't going to come to fruition? What did you end up doing?
So what I was doing, I worked as in a place where they were making pizza.
Okay.
So where they were making pizza, and I did that, and then after that, I worked in a warehouse.
Okay.
So it was really shocking for me to work in my country as a air traffic controller and start working here in a place where they were making pizza, and then I work in a warehouse. And then I said to myself, I can't do that anymore. I need to change. And then I studied computer maintenance. And then when I finished my study, and I started to look a job as a computer technician, but I couldn't find that. And I was offered a place as an optical lab technician. And then I worked over there. And then after a year and a half, I was promoted as a manager. And I worked like that for 17 years.
Okay. So, real quick, I know I want to go back to when you worked at the pizza shop first, because I have a lot of questions. So, did you have a lot of culture shock, working in a pizza shop in England, coming from Africa? What was that experience like for you? What was the customer employee relations like for you when you first came over?
Yes, basically when I worked at that place, I didn't like that. It's the most difficult job that I've ever done in my entire life. It was not that good. And that lasted only, I think, 6 months. And
Okay.
then I left. And then when I arrived as well, because I'm in England, in Manchester,
Hmm.
and at the beginning, the accent was a little bit difficult. I didn't quite understand what people were saying, but now after a few months, I was able to understand what they were saying. Yeah.
Was there any experience when you were working in your second job where you're like, today's a day, I just got to switch it out? Did you go walk into work and your boss was not cool with you, or you're just like, this work I'm doing is not enjoyable? What was that moment where you're like, I'm just going to do something completely different and go to school? What was that lightning?
Uh, Yeah, no, at that place when I was working as a warehouse assistant, at that place it was good. The manager and the co-workers, they were all fine. They was really, really nice. But it's just that it was a manual job, and I really didn't like that. I had to carry boxes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I had problem with my back, and I said that I wanted a job where I would use more my brain instead of my muscles. And that's why at some point I said, no, I can't continue that. And the pay was not that great. So I said, no, I need to change that. Because back home I was working as air traffic controller. I can't continue to do that. And that was the switching point. And as well, I had my wife and my son was already here. So I had to provide for them. And I said, no, this is enough. I need to change career.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense. So, when you went back to school and you were like, okay, I'm going to switch gears, why did you choose that industry to target? Like, because there's a lot of things you can do. Why did you say, I want to do this?
Yes, because when I left my country, I first of all went to South Africa. I spent a year over there. And at that time, it was in 1999. And basically, I had the impression that the computer, working as a computer technician was really, really good because at that time they were looking for computer technician and stuff. That's why I studied that in South Africa. And
Hmm.
then when I came to the England, I said, okay, I'm going to do that again and go on that path.
Okay. Did that come pretty easy to you? Is that why you're like, hey, I studied it? It was like some people are naturally like fish in water when they get into something and are like, I'm just good at this. Was that the case for you where you're like, I know I can do it, I'm just good at it? Or was it like something where you're like, your wife was encouraging you, or like, what was the, the moment, I guess, for that?
Yeah. For that, when I was in England, it was fun. It's just when I arrived in South Africa,
Hmm.
basically, people will find it very strange, but I'd never used a computer. I didn't know anything about computers. So over there, it was really, really difficult. So when I was studying, usually we were finishing the course around 12 p.m.
Hmm.
And then I would stay until 4 p.m. just to try to learn all these things because I didn't know, for example, how to copy and paste out. I didn't know anything. That over there, it was really, really difficult. But because of my dedication, I was able to manage. And luckily, when I finished the study, I was the first one,
Okay.
even though I didn't know anything about that. So when I came in here in the UK to do that, it was pretty easy.
Okay, so you had a leg up on everyone. Um, I'm assuming you're bilingual. Did that help you gain your first job with this new career focus, or was that not really helpful?
No, not really helpful because apart from English, I speak French. So no. The language didn't play any role.
Okay, okay. So moving up, you got in, you became a manager. Was there any stories or times where like you kind of highlighted yourself to your company to say, I'm manager material, like, and your growth in this career?
Yes. So what happened is that when I started the job as a lab technician,
Hmm.
uh, for the first year, because we were following some kind of training, and there was the bronze training, silver training, and gold training, and it's 20 years since that company have existed. I was the only one who has done those 3 modules in 1 year. And because of that, they saw that I was really doing great, and that's why I was promoted as a manager.
Cool. So, I like to ask this question. Did you have a large group of people that got hired with you, or was it a small group, or was it just you? What was that experience like getting hired with that company?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
In some cases, when companies are hiring, they hire like a whole group of new people. In
Yeah.
other cases, they hire just one person, or just one or two people. What was it like for you?
Yeah, for me, I was the only one because when I did I applied for the job, and then I went for the first interview. I went for the first interview was supposed to be with the regional manager, but at that time he wasn't not available, so they sent another person, and then the next one was with the store manager, and they found it that I was very good, the way they were asking me questions and stuff, and that's why I was employed. But I don't, when I was going through the process of being hired, I was the only one.
Okay. So you were only one hired. Within a year, you got promoted because you did these trainings above and beyond what you needed to do. You what age were you at that time when you got through the trainings and you got promoted? How old were you? Just trying to give a timeline of where you were at that point.
When I was promoted, it was in 2005, so I was 35.
Okay, cool. So moving forward, how long did you stay with that company? Are you still with that company? Where are you now?
No, I worked for that company since I started in 2003. I
Mhm.
worked for them until 2012, and then I was made redundant because I think, yeah, into 2012, I was made redundant, and then I went to work for another company. I worked for 3 months, and
Mhm.
then I was made redundant again. And then I worked for another company. I started in November 2013, and I was made redundant in 2020 with COVID. And since then, I've not worked any. I'm starting to work for myself now.
Okay. I got a question about being made redundant, then we'll get into like working for yourself. Um, how did you know you were being made redundant? You said that in each case. How did you see it coming? Or was it like kind of a surprise?
The first time it was, at the beginning, it was kind of a surprise because they're starting to say that no, because I think in 2008 there was a recession and something, and they're starting to lay people off. And what I've noticed is that they're starting to get rid of people. They're starting to give us more work.
Hmm.
And then at some point, we were just 2 people in the lab, and they asked us to choose who is going to stay, who's going to stay in the lab. And at that time, I've already had 3 kids, and the guy who I was working with in the lab said that, okay, I'm single, you can have the job. And I said, no, this is not nice. Then we left maybe to stick, and let's see what they will do. And
Hmm.
then after that, they say, okay, we're going to get rid of both of you. So at the beginning, it was a kind of surprise, but the way stuff were going, I thought that, oh, this is coming.
Okay. So that was when the two of you were let go. Was that the first opportunity or like the second opportunity?
The first opportunity.
Okay, the second opportunity, you found out you're redundant. Did you see, because after the first one, you're like, did you see it coming, or was it not so, was it a surprise again? I see
No,
you.
no, for the second time, it was a complete surprise. It was a complete surprise. I didn't know anything. It's just one day when I was working, they told us that, okay, the next day, don't come to work. You need to go. They gave us an address, and they say you need to go over there. You will have to speak with some regional manager or something. So
Mhm.
for me, I didn't have a clue. And when we arrived over there, they said that, okay, we have to let you go. We don't have enough work for you guys, and you will have to go. So for the second time, it's come as really as a shock.
Okay. Was that like a smaller business second time, or is it also a fairly large company?
No, no, it was a big company.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the third time you found out your redundancy, since you've been it through twice now, was it like I know mentally you're more prepared for it because you've done it twice. Were you surprised that time, or did you kind of see the writing on the wall, like, yeah, something's not right here?
No, for the third time, basically at that time I've already made some changes in my lifestyle, and basically for me it was a relief to be let go. But I didn't even know that it was just with COVID.
Mhm.
I think COVID started in January 2020. And then in March 2020, they told us that we need to stay at home. And in July, they just called us. They say, if you can come to work. When we went over there, they told us that they were going to close the lab. And so it was a surprise, but I was not disappointed because that's basically what I wanted. I didn't want to work anymore.
Gotcha. At any point of those redundancies, did you like go back to Congo and Africa and be like, okay, I'm just gonna take a vacation, we're gonna see family? What was it like at that point for you?
No, no. When this didn't cross my mind. When the first time when I was made redundant, I said to myself, "Okay, I'm going to find something else here in the UK." So it never crosses my mind to go back over there, because if I have to go back over there, I would have to work as a air traffic controller. But when I left, I didn't tell them. I just went. So
Okay.
I don't think that they will take me back. So. It didn't cross my mind to go back.
Okay. Um, did any of your other family members other than your wife and first child come over to England with you? Did your mom, your dad come over, or are they still back in Congo?
No, no. My when I came here, it was only my younger brother. He came before me. He came, I think, 4 years before me. And my mom and dad, they were still back home. And unfortunately, my dad passed away in February this year.
I'm sorry.
And my mom, she's in Canada.
Okay. So there's nothing real.
Because my mom and dad got divorced when I was 8 years old. So
Okay. Um, so just real sidebar question, like what was it like growing up in Africa? Um, for the viewers that are listening, they can sort of know that perspective.
yeah, when I was growing up, it was really fun. Basically, because at that time when I was born, there was no computer games, there were no video games, so we were forced to play outside. So we were always in movement,
Hmm.
running around, playing football, climbing trees, and stuff like that. And for example, during the summer holiday, I will wake up maybe at 7. By 8, I will be already out of the house at the meeting point with my friends, and we'll play football. And maybe at noon, I will just come back, eat very quickly, and go back outside again. And then we'll go climbing trees, running around, playing hide and seek and stuff like that. And for example, during the weekend, we will go hiking. We'll pack some food, some soft drinks, and we'll go and walk for hours. And maybe we'll see a river. We start swimming. So it was really, really good. And at that time, I was not exposed to too much animal product, dairy product, and processed food. And that's why when I was growing up, I was very lean. And my problem started only when I left Congo. I went to South Africa, and when I came in the UK, that's when my problem started. My health problem started.
Okay. What type of foods did you eat when you were in the Congo, like as a kid, just to get some idea of what you were eating that was making you so trim and healthy compared to now?
Yeah. So basically, for example, I was eating still animal product, but for example, if I was eating a chicken,
Hmm.
it was the chicken, live chicken, and then they will kill the chicken. So there was not some animals which have been pumped with antibiotics and stuff like that. There was animals that were living, and then they killed them. So they were really organic animals. And for example, the dairy product, I was not really much exposed to that. For example, I don't really remember eating stuff like yogurt, and it was very, very rare to eat this kind of food. And the processed food as well was very, very minimal. So most of the food that I was eating was whole food, which made a difference. And because as well, we were always in movement, playing around and running around and stuff like that. So that's why I was very lean.
Gotcha. So you didn't have a lot of processed food. You're running around. Did you live like more in a rural area, or were you like in the city? Were you suburbs when you were in the Congo? Where were you? What was your town, city like? Was it? I'm just trying to get an idea of that.
Yeah, I was living in the city. I
Hmm.
was living in the city because my dad was a lecturer at the university and my mom was a nurse. So we were middle class. So yeah, I was not living in the village and stuff. So it was in the city, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So speeding up, you started your business. Now that I got a bigger picture of who you are, you started your business. What made you decide, like, today I'm going to start a business and it's going to be this? Like, what was that epiphany moment like?
Yeah, it's like I said, when I was growing up, I was very lean and all that. And I changed my lifestyle. I adopted plant-based nutrition.
Hmm.
And because of that, I was able to reverse a lot of my chronic diseases, all the stuff that I was suffering from. And because of that, I said to myself that I wanted to share that knowledge to people. And my first idea was to become a speaker.
Hmm.
And when COVID started and we were made redundant, I said, okay, that this is a perfect opportunity for me to do that. But by that time, because the economy was shut down, we couldn't, there was no places to go and speak because everything was shut down. I said to myself, okay, now what can I do? And that's why I had the idea now to start coaching people to help them lose weight and reclaim their health. So that's the moment where I said to myself that I'm going to work for myself now.
Okay. You said you had some chronic diseases. What were they?
Yeah. So basically, when, like I said, when I left Congo, I went to South Africa and then to the UK.
Hmm.
Basically, my eating habit was very bad. I was exposed to a lot of animal products, dairy product, processed food. So, for example, for all my meals, I will have some kind of animal product. For example, in the morning, I will have some salami, bacon, hot dog, sausages, and noon, I will have maybe some fish or some chicken and stuff like that. And I developed some very bad habit. For example, until midnight, I will still have my bottle of Coca-Cola with some biscuits and some cakes and stuff like that. And because of that, I'm starting to suffer from high blood pressure. And people need to know that high blood pressure is very dangerous because 50% of people who suffer from 50% of strokes and cardiovascular diseases are caused by high blood pressure. And I even remember there's a time at 3 a.m. I was really, really in a bad state, and my wife had to call the ambulance to come and pick me up because my blood pressure went through the roof, and I spent a day and a half in the hospital. So I was suffering from high blood pressure. I had massive headaches every day or every other day.
Hmm.
And in fact, I have to have some painkillers in my wallet all the time. I had dandruff, chest pain, back pain, abscesses, joint pain, and a lot of dental problems because of my bad eating habit. I was eating too many refined sugars and stuff like that. And I would say every 2 to 3 months, I had to see the dentist. And I was always tired.
Hmm.
And for example, on the day when I had to go to work, I would drag myself out of bed. And on the day where I was off work, I would sleep until 1 p.m. So that's how it was. And I remember at my last place where I was working, the lab was in the basement. So all the time I had to climb the stairs. I was always out of breath. So that's the chronic diseases that I was suffering from.
Okay. How long did it take you to kind of cure yourself from those? And are you cured from those chronic diseases now fully, or are you still kind of dealing with them?
And then I'm fully cured. So what happened is that because I was suffering from all these things, as like everybody does, or most people, they will go and see the doctor. So I
Hmm.
went to see my doctor, and basically told me that I'll be on medication for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, when he told me that, I said, no, I can't take medication for the rest of my life, even though I didn't know what I know now, but I said no. And he said, okay, what are you going to do? I said, okay, I'm going to going to do some martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
And I joined a karate club, trying that maybe my blood pressure will go away, but it made no difference. So one day, out of the blue, I was just watching a program on YouTube, and there was an Indian yogi who suggested by stopping eating animal product, it was possible to reverse 70% of the chronic diseases. And because my health was pretty bad, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to try that. So it was Wednesday that I watched that program. On Thursday, I came back from work. I asked my wife to cook me my last meal of meat. And on Friday, I went cold turkey. And what's happened is that the following week, my situation got worse. I had massive headaches for 3 days that I've never had in my entire life. I had more cold sore. My joints starting to ache even more. And my wife even asked me to stop, but I said, no, I'm going to continue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people need to understand, is that when you change your lifestyle, your way of eating, the body will find enough energy and will start to try to get rid of all the toxins. And by doing that, the body will dump all the toxin in your bloodstream and you will feel very bad. But it doesn't happen to everybody. So after a week, all these detox symptoms completely disappeared, and I'm starting to feel a lot of energy, a lot of mental clarity. And 4 months into me changing my way of eating, I went back to the doctor, who told me that I will be on medication for the rest of my life, and my blood pressure was completely gone. And after 9 months, basically, I didn't have all these headaches gone, joint pain gone, my dental problems gone. Everything was gone. And after 9 months, I was able to lose 77 pounds. And basically, because of just adopting this lifestyle, I've been able to reverse my aging process, because a lot of people, when they see me, they think that I am in my late 20s, but I'm actually 54 now.
Okay. So let's pin down when you did this radical change to your lifestyle and your eating habits. How old were you at that time?
I was 46.
46. So
Yeah.
basically about 11 years ago, you were like, okay, I'm gonna do this shift. And when you said you got rid of meats, like, and animal related products, you basically turned into like a vegetarian or a vegan. What level did you go to? Do you still eat fish? Like, what, like, really tell me exactly, what did you get rid of? What do you still have in your diet?
Yes, I completely got rid of all meat. So I'm vegan, basically. I'm
You're
vegan.
vegan. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So basically, it was in 2016 when I changed that.
Mm-hmm.
So all the animal product, I don't touch that. I don't touch dairy product. And the processed foods is really minimal. And I'm trying to look for the vegan processed food. And now, for example, when I started this process, I was just eating fruit, vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and seeds. And for the past, I would say for the past 3 years, I've been eating mostly raw. So now, for the time being, I'm 90% raw.
What is raw?
So I only raw food.
Oh,
Don't
raw
add
food. Okay, yeah,
raw
got.
food. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that you were naming some sort of a vegetable, and I was like, I've never heard that. And you know what that is? Okay.
Yeah.
So you eat basically raw vegetables,
Yeah.
seeds, pretty much no meats, whatever. So ever. You're
Yeah.
just, that's totally gone. So no milks.
No.
And do you like, you don't like orange juice? Do you like, I know you could buy orange juice in like the bottle. Do you prefer like squeeze it yourself, or do you get like the orange juice in a bottle? Like, I'm just trying to understand what level of vegan you're at.
Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to do is that to avoid completely, or some of the time, for example, if I go to a party, I can make some exceptions, but usually when I'm at home, I don't drink the juice which are they sell in the shops, the supermarket, because they've got lots of added sugar, they've got preservative, they got coloring, and mostly they add loads and loads of things. And for example, if you look at the Constitution, you will see that the fruit itself is very low. And what I do is, if I have to drink juice, it's homemade. I will do that myself with a juicer and stuff like that, but not the one that they sell in the supermarket. I said, except, for example, maybe if I go to a friend's house or if I go to a party, yes, I can make some exception, but usually I don't drink these things.
Okay, I find your lifestyle eating habits to be fascinating, and I got a lot of questions for you. So you were like, "Hey, I'm going vegan, baby. I'm going all in," and it changed your life in a matter of like a short period of time. You were like doing much better health wise. Um, you have kids. You said you have 3 kids. You have a wife. Were they on board with this, or were they like, "Hey, Dad, you can have all the vegetables you want. I'm gonna stick with my bacon and my eggs, and I'm gonna have, you know, like a filet mignon for dinner. But you enjoy that celery over there. Don't mind me." Like, what was it like with your family?
Yeah. So for the time being, I've got 4 kids. It's not 3, 4.
Okay, 4 kids. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
Continue. Yeah.
yeah. Because when I was explaining the story, yes, by that time I was there are 3, but now there are 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I made the change, I said to my wife and my kids that I'm going to become. I didn't even know the name of vegan, but I just said I'm not going to eat any animal product and dairy product. I will stop everything. I said to them, okay, I'm not going to force anybody. I will do that myself. And then 2 weeks after I changed, my wife saw the change that I was going through, and she said that she was going to do that as well. And for her, she was even able to lose 99 pounds. I lost 77. She was able to lose 99 pounds. And then it took her 12 months, I think, for her to lose all that weight. But after a month, we sat our kids and we told them that, okay, we're going to stop eating meat entirely in the house. And basically, they were very unhappy. They were very unhappy, but we say, okay, we are the parents. That's what we're going to do. And today, my kids, they thank me for that. Because, for example, I had one of my kids, it was suffering from eczema for 11 years. We saw doctors, they prescribed all sorts of creams, but there were no changes. But when we adopted this plant-based nutrition, it only took 2 weeks for his entire eczema to disappear completely. And for example, my daughter, she used to have the flu maybe 2 to 3 times in a year, and sometimes she would even lose her voice. But since turning vegan, all this flu have completely disappeared. And for the most part, my kids don't get sick anymore, just like me. For the past 8 years, since adopting this plant-based nutrition, I've not been sick a single day, not even a headache. And for the past 9 years, I've not taken a single pill, not even a paracetamol or an aspirin. And basically at home, me and my kids, my wife, we don't get sick anymore.
Okay. So, got tons of questions for you. I'm going to go with the low-hanging fruit one first. So we had a major worldwide pandemic, and you were basically saying, I never get sick. It was never a problem. How did your experience with COVID being like, I mean, there's still COVID out there, so it's not really gone away. It's still there, but they're just not talking about it anymore. The pandemic is over, but the virus is still running around. Do you have you had any experience with getting COVID and being vegan, and what was that like? Or did you have a better immune system? Or like just explain to me that one first, and then we'll go in a different direction after.
Yeah. So what's happened is that when you start eating fruit, vegetables, legumes, grain, nuts, and seed, you really, really develop a very strong immune system, a very strong immune system. And that's why, for example, for me, during all the COVID, I didn't have any problems. For example, for all the COVID, I didn't wear a mask. I didn't, if people wanted to say hi to me, to touch my hands or to hug, I was fine with that. So all the stuff that I was saying to people to have to wash your hands multiple times a day with soap and stuff like that. I've not done all these things because I understand that my immune system is very strong. But obviously, I respect people's view. This was my view. And obviously, if what I was doing, if my immune system was not strong, I would have been the first one to catch all these things. But for the entire period of COVID, I didn't catch all these things. I was fine. So no problem, never got COVID.
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up question. Did you get COVID? But the answer is definitely no. So my next question is in reference to you had to do a lifestyle change. I don't think you were like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to cut out all meat and I'm going to sit on the couch and watch TV. Like, were you more active, or was it like, hey, look, I just cut out meat and I just go to work every day, come home, I watch a show with my wife, we go to bed. I don't like do any athleticism whatsoever. Like, what was the case for you?
Yes, so basically, the physical exercise is very, very important because, as people should know, for example, with the blood, with the blood, you've got the heart, which
Mhm.
pump the blood, and the blood can circulate throughout your body. But with the lymphatic system, there's no pump, so you need to get your body moving. But what I'm saying is that I don't necessarily ask people to go to the gym. And for example, for myself, I didn't go to the gym. But what I was doing is that every morning I will wake up, I will do some stretching exercise, I will jump on my rebounder, I will carry some weights, just do something like that. And for example, on every Sunday, I will go for a 2-hour walk
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. So it was walking that I was doing, and stretching exercise, lifting weight and stuff like that. That's what I was doing. And I would do that, the lifting and stretching exercise, I would do that just 10 minutes every day. That's what I was doing, and walking.
Okay, so you did a long walk on Sundays for 2 hours.
Yeah,
You did some stretching and some weights for like 10 minutes in the
yeah,
morning. And you
yeah.
went for a walk during the days, or were you just like, no, we just walk on Sunday. It's like a family walk. Or is it like, did you walk every day? And if you walked every day, how much time did you walk every day?
The I didn't walk every day, but maybe I would say 2 to 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
But on Sunday it was a very long walk. The other day it would be maybe 30 minutes. Maybe I will go to the shops and come back and stuff like that, or I'm going just to be around in the neighborhood. But on Sunday I will really go for a very long walk.
Okay. So you've been doing this for quite like a decade. Like this is not something that's like, hey, you know what, I did it for a year, got the patch, and now I'm doing something different. Um, how do you keep your motivation up to sort of say, every day, every year, I'm going to do this, and I'm not going to fall back into the old habits and not look and say, you know what? That ribeye steak is looking pretty juicy. And like I think I might just want to have like a cheat day, and I'm gonna go to that steakhouse. I'm gonna have that nice steak, and I'm gonna take my wife out. We're gonna just have a cheat day. How do you keep yourself focused? And do you have cheat days?
If I have cheat days, no. But sometimes I can have, for example, a vegan ice cream
Okay.
or a vegan chocolate, but it's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
For example, now, for example, for this entire year, I think maybe I had, I would say 3 times vegan ice cream. So it's not something that I have all the time. But what kept my motivation is because a lot of people, when they want to change, they use their willpower. But the willpower, it's not very effective. For example, you will look at people at the end of the year, they take their New Year's resolution. And for some, they would say, okay, I'm going to lose weight. For others, they say that they were going to stop smoking and stuff like that. They will do that for 2, 3 weeks, maximum 4 weeks, and they will revert back to their old habits. But
Mm-hmm.
what kept me on track is the why power. The why power is in the sense that you need to find a good reason for you to stay on track. And for me, it was the way that I was feeling when I was overweight, when I was having all these headaches every day or every other day. I had abscesses, joint pain. Sometimes when I will have the flu
Mm-hmm.
for a week, I will stay in bed, and all this bad feeling, I didn't want to go through that anymore, because people cannot understand, like me, to spend 8 years without being sick a single day. And I didn't want to go back to feeling that way, where I'm poorly, I'm in bed, I'm aching. I didn't want that anymore. And that's why it kept me on track. I say I will do that so that I don't have to be sick anymore. So that
Okay.
was my motivation.
So you essentially, like, your rationale is the why, and the why is being like, I'm gonna be healthy. Do you and your wife kind of feed off each other and say, yes, this is why we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. Or was it just you solo in your mind saying it's just me and my wife has her own reason why? Like, can we dig a little bit into that?
Yes, I think the most part it was myself, but we kept talking to each other with our kids as well to try to encourage each other.
Hmm.
And that's why I think it was really positive for us, because what I've seen is that even when I'm coaching people, what I've seen is that when the result is better, or you get the best result when both the wife and the husband do that together. But
Hmm.
when someone is doing, the other one is not doing, sometimes it creates problems, or people fall back very quickly on the habit. But for me, I was really blessed that my wife came on board with me. And we usually were encouraging each other. And that's why we've been able to keep that for so long.
Okay. So that's great. So you're self-motivated, you both have your own reasons why. When you were researching to say, like, I'm going to do this radical shift, did you read a lot of books after just watching the YouTube video, or was it like, because obviously to go from like I'm doing it myself to a coach, you had to put a lot of time and effort into yourself to like get all this knowledge to help people. Like, what additional research have you done?
Yeah, so I've done loads and loads of research. I've read a lot of books, the books from Michael Greger, Are Not to Die. I've read that book. I've read a lot of books, I've done a lot of research on YouTube, on Google, and that's why I've been able to have all this knowledge. So at the beginning, it was not easy because, like I said, I went cold turkey. I didn't ask myself what I was going to eat. I didn't know. And basically, the idea came to me to buy a vegan recipe book. And from that, I started to look at different foods to eat. And because of the change that happened in my life, I wanted to start sharing that with people. And that's why I started to read books, to do some research and stuff like that. So there was a lot of work beyond that.
Okay. Um, so you said you were a speaker. Like, one of the things I was kind of curious about is like, what, like, have you done a lot of speeches prior to saying, I'm gonna be a speaker now? Or was it something that you're like, okay, I have this business, I'm doing really good in the business. I am like proof in the pudding myself. Like, did the speaking gigs come to you or did you seek them out?
No, I seek them out because what happened is that because of the profound changes that I went through, I said to myself, okay, I want really to share this message, because I started my change in 2018. And the first time that I went to speak into a church. And what is really fun is that when I was growing up, I was very, very shy, very shy. And I don't even remember, for example, all the time that I spent from primary school to high school. Even when I was not, the teacher could explain something. Even when I was not understanding, I was so shy I couldn't even raise up my hand and ask a question. I've never done that for all the 12 years that I've spent in primary school and high school. So I was very, very shy. But because I really wanted this message to share this message, that shyness just went away like that, and I started to give talks. And for example, even tomorrow, I've got a speaking gig.
Okay. What is the average size of people that you speak to, like group wise?
I think the maximum that I've spoken, because I went to speak to a vegan festival, there were more than 100 people. Uh,
Okay.
More than 100 people, yeah.
What was it like getting in front of a room of 100 people? Was it like nerve-wracking? Were you excited? Were you shocked? What were your feelings?
No, I think it was okay, because I didn't start with 100 straight away. So I started with small groups and to build up my confidence and stuff. So when I went to speak to that group, I was completely fine. But yes, at the beginning, every time when you start a talk, you feel a little bit, you're a little bit nervous, but it goes very quickly. Maybe the first 2 3 minutes, and then everything's become fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. So when you're generally speaking to a group, what's your messaging look like? Do you um, start with your own story? Do you start with how do you generally roll out being a vegan, saying, "Hey, um, what's your presentation like when you're presenting to a group?"
Yeah. When I'm presenting to a group, first of all, I start to explain to people that I try to demonstrate to them that we are herbivores.
Hmm.
And to be precise, we are frugivores, because even when we look at the gorilla, with whom we share 99% of the same DNA, but what do gorilla eat? They eat fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. They do not eat meat. So when we look at human beings, we are frugivores. So I try to explain to people that we are not really designed to eat meat. We can eat meat if we want, but we are not really designed to do that, and that's why it creates lots of problems. And then after that, I talk about my transformation, the way I've been able to make the shift. And
Hmm.
at the end of the presentation, I give, because people will ask, okay, what can we do now to be in good health? So toward the end of the presentation, I give them tips and tricks that have helped me, and they can help them so that they can lose weight and live a disease-free life. So that's the way I roll my presentation.
Okay. You brought up an interesting point about like gorillas being so closely related, and you're like, hey, this is what they eat, this is what we're doing. Do you ever have anyone come back to you and said, well, the reason why we evolved so much is we did have meat? Do you have any points where you're like, no, that's not true? Like that you give back to them or
No, I don't think that it's true that people evolve with meat, because when you look, for example, at the bowel transit time. Okay,
Mhm.
the bowel transit time is the time that certain type of food takes to pass through a system. So, for example, if we eat a piece of fruit, it takes between 3 to 4 hours to pass through a system.
Mhm.
If we eat raw vegetables, it takes around 12 hours to pass through a system. We eat cooked vegetables, it will take between 24 and 30 hours to pass through a system. But when we eat meat, fish, or chicken, it takes 72 hours or 3 days to pass through a system. So meat passes through the system very slowly. That's why, for example, carnivores, they've got a very short intestine. Fruit and vegetables pass through the system very quickly. That's
Mhm.
why human beings and herbivores have got very long intestine. And when we eat, and because the meat takes too long in the system, it creates constipation as well. And meat doesn't have fiber, it creates constipation. And because it takes too long, for example, if you take a piece of meat, you leave that outside during the summertime. When you come back after 3 days, that piece of meat will be in a rotting state. You will see maggot, flies, and it's going to stink. And when you look at the internal temperature of a human being, it's 98 degrees Fahrenheit, which is hot. And when we eat meat, the same rotting process happened inside us. And that's why you will see a lot of people smell bad. And some people, they've got bad breath. They can brush their teeth as much as they want, but that odor is not going away. So all this rotting stuff will create as well a high bacterial activity. And our body will have to produce loads and loads of energy to try and reduce that level of bacteria. And that's why you will see a lot of people are always tired. And when you look at all this, the meat gives great problems. And like I was saying, when you eat meat, it gives constipation.
Mhm.
And basically what will happen is that all the fecal matter, all the toxins will be reabsorbed into the bloodstream. And that's why people will start suffering from high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer, Parkinson, arthritis, and all the autoimmune diseases where the body destroys itself, like the inflammatory bowel disease, the lupus, the psoriasis, the rheumatoid arthritis, all these things. So I don't see how meat can be good for people. I don't see that.
It's
And it creates lots and lots of problems.
So, like, if someone were to jump in and say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna maybe switch gears and go to be like this vegan lifestyle," and say, like, you know what, I'm gonna move away from having meat, and go to like having like vegetables. You're basically saying have raw vegetables because it goes through your system the quickest, and it's better than even like saying, hey, cook up some carrots or like something and like having like soups and whatnot hot. You're basically saying have a cold because your body is 98 degrees. It's going to cook that vegetable in your stomach for you. Is that what you're saying in essence?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But obviously, when I started this process, I didn't go straight to start eating raw vegetables and stuff. I was eating cooked food. So if people want to eat cooked food, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that when you eat raw food, it's a lot better because in the raw food, you've got stuff like enzyme, vitamin, nutrient. And when you cook those food, you're going to lose most of it. And when you look as well every time when you eat something, the body needs to produce some enzyme to be able to digest the food. But when you eat raw food like carrots, like lettuce, like tomatoes, the body will not have to produce those enzymes because those enzymes are already contained in those food. So basically, if you want to reach a higher level of health, it's better to switch to a raw vegan diet.
Okay.
But for the time being, I'm still eating cooked food. It's 2% of what I eat is cooked and 98% is raw. But I didn't start like that. I was mostly eating cooked food when I starting this process.
Gotcha. Wow, this is very, very interesting because it's a total radical jump from pretty much how the world, everywhere I think of, like there's different societies and communities that have different gourmet dishes, and they're all surrounding with meats and fishes and different things. I really can't think of a community group where it's sort of like we have just raw vegetables. And like maybe they're out there and I don't know who they are. Um, do you know of any like countries or community groups that like are on this unintentionally that are just very, very healthy by chance?
Yes, I think in United States, you've got the Seven-Day Adventist.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, they are vegan. They don't eat meat and no animal product and dairy product. And I think the Amish as well. They are still in the United States. So I know these two communities, they don't eat meat. And if you look, for example, you will see that the level of health is pretty good. And for example, even when during the COVID, the Amish population, they practically didn't have any COVID in the community.
Yeah, it was never really brought up that well. And I live in the United States, and I recall that they were concerned for the Amish, but they were isolated, and that's why that there was not that issue. But now that you put a different lens on it, it gives a different perspective. Um, so you do the coaching. You do like weekly coaching, monthly coaching, daily coaching for people that say, "Hey, I want to help you. I want to help me get help from you." Like, what's your regimen for coaching people?
Yes, so the coaching that I've got is a 16-week one-on-one coaching program.
Hmm.
So what's happening is that it's, like I said, for 16 weeks. So every 2 weeks, we have a coaching call. And in between, I will give them access to my website where they will be able to watch videos. I've got some workbooks that they can download, and they've got all the program inside. And as well, to make sure that the success is guaranteed, I will also give them my personal WhatsApp number
Hmm.
so that in the meantime, between those two coaching calls, if they have any questions or any worries or anything like that, they can reach me straight away. So that's basically the way I do the coaching with my clients.
Okay. Do you have any success stories you can share of like someone that maybe famous or just had this really interesting story you want to share that's a little shocking that you might want to put out there that might be interesting for people to hear?
Yes, there was a woman who basically she was overweight and she had 3 kids.
Hmm.
And she was already on 5 different medications because she was suffering from high blood pressure and diabetes. And basically, she's starting to call sick at work a lot of time, and her boss was not very happy, and he was really he wanted basically to fire her. And that's when she stumbled on my program, and she signed up with me. and we're starting to work together. And basically what's happened is that after 12 months, she was able to lose 36 kilos. What is it in pounds? Something like 80 pounds that she
Wow.
was able to lose. And basically, she was off all medication. And she had a lot of energy because at that time she was always tired and she couldn't take care of her kids and her husband. And now, by just following my program, she was able to reverse all the chronic conditions. She was not suffering from high blood pressure anymore. Her diabetes was gone. And she was back on work, and everything was perfect for her now.
Gotcha. So you basically went in there and you coached her to say, this is what I want you to eat at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I want you to do these exercises. I want you to like go for a long walk on Sunday. Um, and essentially she went and reported into you like every week, like I've done this, this, and this, and you just kept her honest to say like how is it going, and just like kind of updates and continued motivation to do better each week, or what's your uh over the 16 weeks, at what point do you say like, okay, if you've done this for this many weeks, you should see like not really an aha moment, but like a serious drop in weight or a seriously increase in health, like your blood pressure goes back to normal? Like, is there like a time frame where you say over that time frame you're like, okay, bam, now you should see it? Do you have that or not?
It's difficult to say exactly when something can happen because everyone is different,
Hmm.
and everything will also depend on the way people were eating in the past. So, for example, for other people, the eating habit is worse than others, and so it will really depend on the something as well is that, for example, if you follow diligently what I'm saying, it will make sense as well, because there are some people they drag a little bit and stuff like that. But for example, I've got a woman that I was coaching,
Hmm.
and she basically she had swollen ankles, and it was really a problem for her every night to wake up and to go to the bathroom and stuff like that. But by when she started my program, after 7 days, the swelling was completely gone. Just 7 days, it was
7 days,
completely
just
gone. Yeah,
wow.
7 days, it was completely gone. And she said that when she went to the toilet, she was shocked that she was able to walk without any pain. So it just depends on people. And that woman, she really was really dedicated, and that's why she was able to see some change just after 7 days.
Okay. If you don't mind me asking, how old was she when she was coaching with you?
She didn't tell me her age, but
Okay.
I would say maybe she was in her 40s.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we covered a lot of ground, and I'm really impressed with your story and your background. This has been a really cool conversation, and like I really appreciate you being on the show today. Do you have any final motivational words for our listeners before we finish up?
Yes. What I would like to say is that when we are born on this earth, the most important thing that we have is our body. It's our temple, and we've only got one. So we need to make sure that we are really doing everything we can so that we can live a longer and fruitful life. And what I really want people as well to know is that it's possible to live a disease-free life, because what we've been told is that when we grow older, we need to be sick. But in my experience, it's not that case, because when I started this process, I was 46. Today I'm 54, and my health is getting better and better. And there's nothing that I cannot do now that I was able to do when I was 20. So what I would like people to know is that it's possible to live a disease-free life. Being sick is a choice. If you want, you can be healthy and really have a really long and fruitful life. That's the message that I would like to give to people.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed you having on the show. I hope you have a great day, and thank you for coming on.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
This episode was made and produced by i4 Web Services. Visit i4webservices.com to learn more.